Hey, welcome back. So let's get back into this. We're doing the first phase here, which is Russia or China. So we rolled a 5, and that's going to be Russia. So Russia is acting. And then this, by the way, goes into the Crisis Cup and R a few times to shuffle those. And yes, so Russia is going to go. There's a lot to deal with there. We didn't do a summit first, which is normally something I do. So what that means is we're going to get a world of hurt from them. All right, so this is going to take a while, and I know you don't have the sheet in front of you. First thing we check for is auto loss. That's not a happening. So now we got to check their posture. They're at posture 2. So I'll let you see what they have there. Do they have a poor economy? No, they do not. They're asking me to flip the tension counters. So we have a 2. So they're saying so basically none of these things are true. If the tension needed to be 0, 1, or 5 or more. So none of these things are happening so far. So that says based on the sum of the tension values above, for every increment of 5, they're trending anti-US. Remove all the tensions and redraw half. Alright, so here we go. I know it went to the wrong spot, but we'll get that fixed. Yeah, I looked at it. I know I wasn't sure if it was shuffled, so I'm putting another one out now. Okay, so half means at least they're down 1. Okay, next thing. Check for strategic capabilities. So they're going to make 2 checks. 3 because they're at posture 2. They're going to roll a d10 and subtract 1 if there's any sanctions, which there is. A 1 to a 4, or a 1 to a 5, is a success. And because they're going to subtract 1, basically a 1 to a 6 is a success. Okay, first priority is anywhere that they're trailing by 2 or more. So come over here, we roll. They succeed, so they move up 1 there. Next priority, increase cyber warfare and strategic missile defense. Those are the 2 they want to do. So we'll do cyber first. That succeeded. Strategic missiles. That failed. So they got 2 out of their 3. It did say multiple attempts may be used to improve a capability, but these 2 were equal priority. They were supposed to try each one once. Okay, next is the spot I was getting wrong. So if the relations with the US is 1 or 2, in this case it is a 2, they're going to do multiple espionage attempts, but in the past this wasn't true, and there's an otherwise clause that I kept missing. But what they're going to do is they're going to make 2 espionage attempts. So for each one, they're going to roll a d10. So I'm going to go ahead and roll. A 2 is probably not good for us. Now there's some DRMs. Minus 1 or 2 if they're 1 or 2 higher than US. I think they just tied us, didn't they? Yeah, they just tied us, so nothing there. Minus 2 if any US relationship is estranged. Minus 1 if the US ally relationship with any ally except India is not very close. Oh my gosh, did we choose correctly? Oh, India or Saudi Arabia. So basically your starting conditions. So nothing there. Plus 1 or 2 if US cyber is 1 or 2 better, which it was, but they just tied us. Plus 2 if there's a token that doesn't exist. Okay, so there's no DRMs to their roll. They got a 2. A 2 is they steal technology, and it's going to basically, one of their strategic capabilities is going to go up by 1. So we rolled a 6. So we just come over here and look. That's this one, so their space warfare just went up by 1. Then they're going to go again. This time it's a 5. We already know there's no modifiers. They're going to steal military secrets. If possible, increase the strength of a US opponent by 2 in a war. And that can happen. So we have in the war here, they're at 6. And that's going to improve to 8. So that's interesting. That all of a sudden got a lot more challenging for us. Okay, so that's the 2 espionage. Then they're going to try to improve their economy. So we roll a d10 for that. They got a 7. No change. Well, hold on. It becomes an 8, 9, 10. You add 3 if there's a multilateral sanction on them, which there is. That becomes a 10. Minus 1 per influence counter on Eurozone, Eastern Europe, and Central South Asia. So that's minus 3. 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, it just basically, it's no change. The DRM ends up being 0. Then how many actions they get? It's their state of economy plus 1. So they get a 5 actions. Alright, first one. Is there 5 terror group levels in Central South Asia? There's 3. Second one. Roll d10, adding 1 if posture is 2. Which it is. So that means it becomes an 8. Okay, so they're not going to quell internal dissent.
No way you got hit by the Hellfire Club.
Number 3, we're skipping. They're not at war. Number 4. And just to keep track at home, they're at 5 actions. Is there a civil war marker in the Middle East? Yes, there is. So they're going to try to intervene in Syria here. Place Russian influence counters and adjust Russia's relations with the U.S. according to the current U.S. regional alignment in the Middle East. I don't know what that means. I mean, we're at 5. Oh, it tells us next. Okay. So if we're at 4 or 5, 2 Russian influence markers, and then Russia's relations moves 1 box to the left. Ooh, that's brutal. So 2, and then their relations with us drops 1 whole level. Wow.
I am sorry. I think I need to get off.
And actually, they have 6 actions. This gave them another +1.
That's
So now they have 5 actions left.
I'm very sorry. Yeah. If I get back on, I can let you know.
So I was asking if there's a rogue state in Europe or Central South Asia. The answer is no. So they still have 5 actions left. Holy crap. Now we're moving on. They're going to do cyber attacks. Make 2 attacks.
What's up?
If at posture 1, 3 attacks at posture 2.
What's up?
So we're going to do 3 attacks. Attack 1. They rolled a 4. They're going to try to discredit the president. So now they're going to roll to see if they succeed. They rolled a 6. Their strategic capability is equal to us, so the chart is a little better in our favor, but a 6 is still a success. I don't think there's any DRMs on this. So they do succeed. It uses 1 AP and decreases public approval by 1. So RP drops, public approval drops. So that was attack 1. And by the way, they're down to 4 actions now. Attack 2. Okay, that's not good. They're targeting our political cohesion. I need them to roll a 10 here. That is not good. Okay, so it succeeded. Decrease relations with Congress by 1 and cooperation by 1. This is where everything starts to collapse for us because of the stupid cyber attacks. This game is dominated by cyber attacks. Eastern Europe. 1 is a major success. 2 Russian influence counters and increase regional crisis by 1. So they added 4 counters. 1, 2, 3, 4. They win the game if they have 9. So Russia's a serious issue.
I'm ready.
Alright.
There's a lot of stuff.
If any regions has 3 or more Russia influence counters, create a Russia base.
Just try and learn it, feel it out, and do whatever. Okay. I will. We're going in with low gear score, which I think I was messing up last time because I had like 27 gear score, which made us go against higher level people.
Attempt in the first region where the conditions are met. So in this case we have 2 regions, unfortunately. where they can do a base. So I think I just need to roll. So 1 to 3 is Middle East, or yeah. So the Eastern Europe,
Oh, don't use your spells in here. You only get
those
you
go
get a
back,
limited amount of
and a
time.
Russia base comes
You can
out.
look at what they do, but don't use
So now our relation with Congress drops again,
because they will be
and that
using
drops
as well.
by 2. And that was another action spent.
Hey, wait, hey, come here. Let me show you something.
If Russia relations with US is 4 or 5, remove all sanctions. Roll a d10. They rolled a 6. Compromise achieved. Remove 1 Russia influence counter on Eastern Europe. Then remove all sanctions.
No.
If there's no Russia influence counters in either region,
Get up on that team.
place a -1 AP counter. Alright,
So,
I'm
your
assuming
player was
that bases
boss fight,
deteriorate
and oh my gosh, this boss
into
fight
2
is so
influence.
good.
I can check that later, and that gets rid of their multilateral
You got
sanction.
white time.
And that did consume one of their actions. So I'm going to look at the governing manual real quick.
I don't even know what it gives you though.
So there's no thing that says bases.
Watch out.
Maybe if I look up influence.
Don't get backed up into a corner.
Influence is nowhere as well. I don't know how they missed that. What did they put it under?
No, your shapeshift.
So
You don't. You don't have a max amount of shapeshift.
3 influence will create a Russian base.
You can go into a chicken and heal. So all your shapeshift forms have special abilities. And if you go into your chicken and press E, you heal.
I'm assuming that the base can deteriorate into 2. That's the reason why the base has a 3 written on it. I'm going to assume that that's correct. Okay, next. Militarize the Arctic. Costs an action, by the way. They rolled a 3. Deep sea mining yields Arctic riches. Place an improving economy counter on their track. Alright, they got 1 action left.
Also, your spells. So if we come into contact with
Reinforce allies.
which you can spawn, and bro will go crazy.
Are they equal to or lower than NATO? They are at +1. So that's not true. Serbia and Syria are not at war. How the hell do I know if Serbia and Syria are at war?
There's people in this one.
Well, they're not at war. So, last one. If there's a counter on Iran or North Korea, which there is, they're going to veto the renewal of sanctions. Remove the sanctions counter from North Korea.
Don't stand so close to him. They change targets a lot.
That's it. That's their final action. So they're going to remove
Mechanically,
the UN sanction.
mechanically class in the
from North Korea. All right. Well, that was a painful turn. Okay, now we're on. We get to do any three actions, and you saw how quickly. I mean, this thing. The developer. You guys abuse this so much. I mean, bam, bam, bam. It's just down in a heartbeat. There was not a dang thing I could do to mitigate that. I was even trying my hardest to bring it up. So that happened and this happened. So so my situation is I'm not going to be able to pass any bills in Congress unless I really figure something out, and I have no idea what there is to figure out.
Hey guys, we can be friends. We don't have to fight.
Um,
Just chill. We can relax.
I know that the summit with Russia was necessary, and I did the trade agreements instead. I should have probably have done a summit, because that really hurt what they did, and I think that was a strategic mistake on my part. So one of the things we can do is make sure there's a summit with China, because we're not going to get Russia again, but we are going to get China. So we could try that.
Bro, could you like?
I could try to create goodwill.
You're just watching there.
Um, with them messing with the war, they are significantly stronger. We may not have 3-1 odds anymore, so we may want to like improve our position. Because the last thing we want to do is start losing the war or roll badly against that. So we could try to do a military action, which what I'm looking at is we could do a cyber attack, actually. Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do. Although we're no longer ahead of Russia. So we'll go ahead and do a cyber attack as our first action. We're going to do it against the rogue state we're at war with. So let's roll. Low numbers are good. A 5 is not. If I'm going to spend AP, I would have spent it. Let's see what comes out of this. So we got to go to WM4.
This game is just not
All right, so let's look at the DRMs. Yeah, we don't get a minus because of our capability anymore. We do get a -1 because it's a rogue state, so that becomes a 4. It's not a joint attack though, so we at least reduce it to a 4. And then if we go to the rogue state, we disrupt the rogue state funding and recruitment operations. Decrease a terror level in the region by 1. So we didn't do anything to help us with the war. But we get to reduce one of these terror levels by 1, so I'm going to get rid of this one completely.
all your stuff is about like
Nope, I'm going to reduce that one to a 1.
granting stuff to allies,
And
and then you can heal people.
now we got to roll for the reaction.
You're super useful, and also you can resurrect.
A 9 is not going to be good.
You can have a resurrection spell.
Rogue State launches videos that show suffering of non-combatants and blame US.
But a lot of your
Place a
spells,
trending anti-US counter in the region.
and you can have
-1 public approval. We already had one, so the alignment drops by 1. Alright, that's not good. Okay, so then the president is going to get India to become very close,
so basically
so we can get everybody to very close status. So that is a
a
D10.
lot of like healing abilities.
I need a 1 through 6.
I'm playing like a barbarian. What you do?
Also, when you succeed,
And tell me to
you get to remove a tension.
go get him.
So one of these should have been gone.
It's a super busted combo though.
And then this is modified if I'm willing to spend an AP. And I'll save it for the reroll. There's a 2. Perfect. So we got India very close. Tension goes away. It's done. Alright, so we didn't help ourselves with the war there. That's 2 actions out of the 3. We could try to do a military action to help us with the war, where we deploy military forces. We can move Marines. Okay, so if I wanted to move troops here, I have the option to... It'd be somebody, from here. So we have, as you can see, we have quite the array already. I could try to move like a military heavy, but I actually don't have any to choose from. This is all I have. I do have Marines here on this carrier that are currently serving those regions. Yeah, I don't want to do that. That's not an action I want to do. I actually think that the summit with China is not a bad idea. I know they don't act until here. Or we can domestically try to repair things, but this is a disaster. That's the problem. I did the trade agreements while this was still a 5, and that was probably the right move. Because now getting a trade agreement through is going to be really hard. All this is going to be hard. I feel like I need to domestically do something. Improving relations with Congress. Right now I'm going to get a +2 because of where this is at. So I want this to go up, and I'm going to get a penalty for wanting it to go up. So therefore I can't make it go up. I'm literally going to get a +2. And I need a 1, 2, or 3 to be able to improve that. How do I do it? I have to roll a perfect... I have to roll a 1. That's the only way this is going to even work. I do get to spend... I can spend 1 AP to give myself a -1.
So, do you understand how to use like spells and stuff?
So then I'm stuck with a +1. One of the things I realize I can do is there is a relationship with Congress POTUS that I could have... I didn't realize that was even a thing, but relation with Congress.
Let me add him.
See, I don't see that anywhere here.
Because if I put like all my gear that I have for this barbarian like on, because we're going in with nothing.
It says -1 if relations with Congress is a #1 POTUS cabinet focus. Oh, the focus.
With my best weapon,
See, I picked economy.
headshot.
I made them #2. Oh, darn it. So if I made them #1, I can get some...
That right now
Yeah.
is higher than the health.
If I would have moved this here... I don't know. Would you guys let me retcon that? Now that I understand the consequences? I'm retconning. I'm sorry. So we'll make that the #1, and that lets me...
By 1 damage.
I can do a roll. Basically, it's going to be an even roll. They're adding +2 because of this. I'm going to spend an AP, which gives me a -1, and then this gives me another -1. So I can try to improve this guy back. And a 3 is going to give me a +1, which is good. Now that I'm up here, I don't get the -2 anymore. So if I try it again next time, I can spend an AP for a -1, and then because that's my #1 focus, that's another -1. That's the trick, folks. That's the trick.
Yeah, shield
You
damage,
gotta...
physical damage is a
If
lot,
you make this your top priority,
especially when your health is only 1.5.
I'm now getting a -2 on all my rolls, which means that if I roll anything but a 6, I'm going to be able to move up. Okay, that's... Yeah, we're cooking with Pam now. That's the right thing. If we can get this thing up to bipartisan,
Hey, there's people here.
then the next action is to start moving this over.
Cast protection on me.
So that's the thing. We did 2 foreign actions and 1 domestic. Okay, now we're going to draw chits. I'm gonna hit R to shuffle, and let's see how bad.
There you go. Thank you.
How bad is this gonna get? One random regional crisis. We rolled a 9, which is Africa, so it's back up. That's a plus, so another one comes out. Draw one crisis card. What do we got? Place 2 tension counters on Russia and NATO.
You want to hear me?
And one on the UK.
Oh no, I'm bled out. Okay, rush him. Rush him with your mace. Hit him with your mace.
Plus 1 regional crisis in Eastern Europe. Place a trending anti-US counter on Russia's US relations.
No, you're so close.
It's as low as it goes.
Oh, he's gonna die. He's dead.
Roll a d10,
100%.
adding the current value of the Russia-NATO conflict track. This is not good.
No, that was really good though.
Oh, actually, this is actually really good. So we remove one Russia influence counter from Eurozone or Eastern Europe. I'm going to remove it from Eastern Europe. So they just dropped by 2. There was 1 from before. Place a tension counter on Russia and NATO. But because we're sky high here, add plus 1 to the Russia-NATO conflict track. Place a trending anti-US counter on Russia's... Well, the good news is we didn't get impacted by this at all. And then this goes... This is a cascading event. So, more to come there. One thing to pay attention to is sometimes you can get rid of these. Like I know one of those, like with the bank crisis, as long as the economy is at 6 or higher, it'll go away. Okay. That was our crisis. But see, it's another plus, so we get to draw another one. Now we're drawing 3 more. Jeez Louise. 1, 2, 3. Here's the first one. Oh. Yeah, I like this one. And it goes into the reshuffle too. Plus 2 public approval. Bam bam. Plus 1 relations with Congress. Bam. Oh. Move bipartisan. 1 to the right. This is excellent. All the things we wanted. I could not have asked for a better time to get that one. Then we rolled a 2. Minus 1 lingering domestic issue. Perfect. That was a fabulous card. I hope we get that one back. These reshuffles, by the way, at the end of the year, I think like half of them are out of the game and half of them come back in. Alright, next one. A coup in Egypt.
Okay, that was a good fight.
Place 1 tension on Israel. Done.
Well, no, we gotta.
Place a new level 1 terror group in the Middle East.
We gotta get back alive.
As if they needed more.
Get back alive.
So that means, yeah. It means that Terror Group 4 goes away and a rogue state reappeared. It does mean, you know, one of these counters went away, I guess, but yeah. Then we roll. A 1 is good. Pro-US military coup. Place a trending pro-US counter. And plus 1 crisis in the Middle East. So that gets rid of the minus. I guess it could have been worse, right? And then this is discarded. So we'll just put discard over there.
Dude, I don't know what I'm gonna
And
do.
then last one, U.S. innovation.
Oh, sick.
Ooh,
That's actually what I was
this
thinking.
looks
I'm
like a
like,
good
I
one.
don't know what I'm gonna do.
Place an economy improving counter, which is
I don't
excellent
know what
because that
counter
gets
it
rid of
is.
that. +2 public approval. Place an improving counter on the cabinet improvement track. Oh,
I wonder if
wow.
I can start
I
this one.
love that.
Yeah.
Place your Science and Technological Innovation Greater Society bill in
We
past
should do
bills
this.
as a landmark bill.
We should do it.
Oh my gosh. Does it say what number it is? I wish it would tell me what number it was. No.
We could read. We could read Romans Philippians.
It's going to be the last one I look at, isn't it? All right, hold
It
on.
only has 4 chapters, and you know the boys. They won't be long.
Oh, is it this? I got to come back. Hold on. Innovation Greater Society bill. Is that the one?
Bro is geared up.
Expanded military.
This thing sucks. I'm gonna replace it as soon as I get the chance. I thought you
You know, I
liked it.
probably should look up what these are. I think these are landmark bills. Give me 1 second. I've never made it. I never had success in this realm before.
That was
Okay, so these are considered greater society bills. They can only be passed or suggested if your domestic crisis is at zero. Obviously, the event bypasses that, but we got this one, science and tech, and it's passed and signed
watch out. He's gonna screw your ass.
level one. And then what's going to happen is, uh, sorry, I'm just trying to move this out of the way. What's going to happen is this is then going to end up going back in here as a level two because there's two levels. And then once the level two passes, it goes here and it can never be passed again. But you have that forever. So this is quite awesome. This is one of the best events I think we've ever gotten.
Oh,
So then there's
I
a
forgot about that.
page in the domestic chart. It's domestic chart 7 called Greater Society Initiative. So I'm just making sure it's a passed bill as a landmark bill and apply the results of the past legislation chart D5.
You know,
Um,
keep doing stuff. Do your stuff.
oh my gosh, we got multiple charts we're going to have to do here.
Choose a board.
So we have to do the effects of past legislation. Yeah, and so it's, yeah, chart D5 is saying go to D7 if it's a greater society initiative. So uh, let me just make sure I'm not missing anything else. All right. Before his bill is signed or vetoed, roll a d6. This will give you legacy points from the bill. All right, so let's roll our d6.
Yeah.
I rolled a 4. The DRM -1 if bipartisan cooperation counter is on the rightmost box. +1 if leftmost, so neither of those apply. Each time you sign opponent's legislation, -1 party relations. Each time you roll an adjusted 1, it becomes a landmark bill. If you pass and
Oh,
sign a landmark bill,
just read in that chat.
add a new congressional friend. This is considered a landmark bill, right? Right here, landmark bill. So it goes into the landmark section. So if I get another friend, all right.
So if you hold
It would have been nice to get a media relations one, but now we have at least some power.
They give you minus move speed. So if you press X, you can unequip the weapon
Um,
and walk faster.
yeah, and he's radical, right? Yes. Okay.
Press 1 whenever you want to re-equip it.
So our die roll was a 4, like we said.
That counts.
This is considered a good bill. We get 0 legacy points. Oh no, that roll was determining if it's a landmark bill, a good bill, or a dysfunctional bill. So since it's landmark, we have to use the landmark column. So that gives us 2 legacy points. So we just scored some points. Oh, and then we got 5 because we were playing normal difficulty. So that puts us to 7. Alright, so that's victory points for the game. So that's good. And then yes, because this is a greater society, we now need to go to D7. There's additional rewards if it was a public priority or administrative priority. I don't think that's the case because these are greater society stuff.
You want to sell it.
Let's see, it's none of these. So this is an awesome card. I am so excited. All right, D7.
No. Only if you were actively wearing it, like equipping it. So the armor you wear.
So it's science and technological, and it is
The weapon you
level 1. So we get +1 to any strategic capability, any one we want. I know this is crazy, but I feel like we should improve this, just because this is so devastating. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
You do gotta be like ready whenever.
+2 to public approval.
That's like the hardest thing.
1, 2.
Is the spell.
Then since it's a landmark bill, we get 4 more legacy points. Now, I'm wondering if that's in lieu of the 2 we got for passing a regular bill. Give me a second.
It probably is. It's not.
Oh, it's the base legacy points. And then because it's this, we get +4. So yeah, it's 4 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And basically we're at 10, 11. That is fantastic. And I know there's more text there, but I think we got the majority of the good stuff. And then roll a d10. Look at this. We get another strategic capability. Come on. Roll low, roll low.
Literally every.
Yes, 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 yes. This goes in the reshuffle too. Oh my goodness, that was excellent.
5, 6, 7.
What strategic capability should we get? Obviously, we have DARPA here, so this probably has a good shot of moving up on its own.
A lot of people.
As you can see, we're neck and neck on these ones. I'm gonna take the missile one. Take the lead there. This was fantastic. All right, that was a great last crisis. I think it was Heavy Cardboard that said that there's only one good chit in here, and that's possibly true. But I have to confess, some of these events are not bad. They're actually good, and we saw almost all the bad ones last time. There was one good one that we actually got again a second time, the 9/11 speech. But this one, U.S. innovation. Oh my gosh. Don't play on normal easy difficulty. Just make sure that's like at the top of your event deck, and that's a huge. All right, so we did draw 3 crisis chits, which is something. So now an ally rogue group is going to act. So I'm going to hit R to shuffle, and then we're going to draw, and we drew D. So I gotta grab
We have like 4 minutes.
who group D is. Page 11. Alright, this is Canada, Gulf states, etc. So first thing we're doing is we're activating Canada. They, of course, are very close. They have no tension because they're Canada. So they get to do 2 joint actions. The joint actions are pretty much the same. So first one is locate a terror group in the region. There aren't any in our region. Make a raid against one. They can't do that. They can stabilize the region. This can't be done for them. They can reinforce an ally in a war. That one I actually might want to do. It adds 1 strength. I mean, it's not a lot. De-escalate. They can try to, make like the NATO track or something. Oh, this is only if they have a conflict track, which they don't. So I can't do that. We can do humanitarian aid in any region. And that would cause regional crisis to go down. I actually think that's the best move. We're going to use them to reduce regional crisis here. And this is a 1 to 7 roll. I got a 1, so that's down, and then we're going to try to do this one in Africa. And Canada did its job. That's what I'm saying. Having very close. That was 2 actions that helped me. So we're not done. They get to keep going. Now they're going to do a unilateral roll, which I'm going to do next. They rolled an 8. -1 because there's no tension, so it's 7. They're going to add 1 because there's a Russia influence in Eurozone, so it's back to 8. There's no terror groups in CONUS. The Russia-NATO conflict status is greater than 1, so they're going to get a +1, which makes it 9. So they're at 9. There's a joint anti-terror campaign with U.S. Reduce 1 level 1, 2, or 3 terror group in CONUS, Central America, or South America by 1 level. So South America has just 1. Central America has 2. I'm going to get rid of the 1 in South America. We'll make it terror group free. That was really good. I like that. If they would have gotten 1 more point, they would have sent troops to reinforce us. No, they would have just made NATO's relative strength better. Well, no, or they could have supported us in a war. Yeah, that's alright. So next we move. The next one is Saudi Arabia. So again, we're going to get 2 actions. They have 1 tension. I'm going to spend 1 action to remove that. And then the other action, we're going to try to improve this region somehow. So they can do intel. They can try to stabilize the region. They can only do it... Oh, they get a -1 if the regional crisis is 0. They can de-escalate or do humanitarian aid, which is never a bad option. So the stabilized one's interesting. If they roll a 1 to a 4, this would go up by 1. If this was at a 0, then that turns into a 1 to 5. The intel also is interesting because that lets us start to go after the terror groups, which I learned is an important thing to go after. Locate any terror group in the region. Choose terror group, then place group in the gather intel box. Or if they're already there, move it to the next box. Canada gets 2 intel successes. what else should I do? Just one more action. It's that or try to stabilize. Or I guess I could try to lower a regional crisis. You know what? We're going to lower the regional crisis because that's something that just goes up way too much. We're going to do it in the place where we're at war because we know we're going to increase it. That almost failed. So this goes down by 1. That works. Okay, and then Saudi Arabia is going to do its roll. They rolled a 7. There's no tension, so it drops to 6. What's their status on Saudi Arabia-Iran conflict? So they get half of this, so it goes back up to 7. They allow increased U.S. military basing. Add 1 tension counter to themselves and to Iran. Either add a trending pro-U.S. counter in the Middle East or remove 1 China influence from the Middle East. So there's no China here. So we're trending pro. Okay, now they're done. After them, we go to the rogue activation table. So if there's no rogue states on the map, so we're going to roll a d10. I rolled a 5. The highest level game created rogue state acts. There's 2 of them. Okay, so what it's saying is we have to choose randomly. So 1, 2, 3 is Middle East. Alright, so this one's acting. And we have to refer to WA3 table. That WA3 table. Where the heck is the WA3 table? Oh. I bet that's in the rogue book. Page 8. I'm looking. Okay, here we go.
So actually, the patch last night, they patched the game, they updated it. That's when we got off.
Okay, so it says
But they were updating the
if it's at war, which this one is not.
and the barbarian got a massive buff to his rage ability, which is the thing that I use. I got
If rogue state is not at war, do only B.
and
So basically the pro-US counter just got countered.
but I lose 10% physical damage reduction,
And then we're going to do a
10% physical damage reduction.
D10.
So I got buffed by an extra 1% movement speed, and I don't lose 5%
We rolled a 2.
damage reduction.
Increase 1 level 3, 2, or 1 in that priority terror group in the region by 1 level.
Nerfed to heckin' back last night,
So this becomes a 3.
which is funny.
Okay, so that's done. And then it says we have to check unstable states.
Past times.
So there are 1 in the region. Nope, it's telling me to check not the Middle East. Central South Asia and Asia Pacific. Asia Pacific has 0. Central South Asia also has 0. No, it has 1. So let's roll for that one. So we rolled an 8. It stays on the map. Well, hold on. Is the stability less than 5? It is 5. So no. Change there. Yeah, it just stays. No change there. Alright, so that puts us at the end of the Ally Rogax. And then we do our cabinet focus, which is excellent. I'm going to pause here real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, so now for the fun part. Unless our rolls stink. Here we go. So we're going to start with number 1. We'll move this to the right. That is a perfection. Improve RWC by 1. Now, look at that. We're getting it to where we want it to be. Number 2. This one actually, we want this one as well. That's why it's our number 2. And it failed. Oh no. And it failed because we switched these. And I'm okay with that. I switched it for a reason. That would have been nice though, to get this to move up again. But our economy is okay. Number 3, cabinet effectiveness. This one I could really use. And we got it. So we need a 1 to 3. I mean, both of these are good, but I like the 1 to 3 better. Perfect, perfect. So improving marker. We have one already there. So this moves up now to 5, which is excellent. Alright, number 4. -1 to a domestic crisis would be really good. We did not get that. Number 5, press relations. Nope. And then the miracle roll. Nope. So we missed a bunch of them. But it was still worth it. I like it. I feel energized for being able to do that. Okay, -1 to media relations. Just always happens. 2 domestic actions. And then we do legislative. Alright, so with domestic actions, one of the things we probably want to do is get this moved over, or get this moved up, or get rid of one of them. I would like to get rid of this media too. So I think that's what I'm going to try to do here. I know this is a little dangerous, but we're going to try to remove an opponent back to the cup. I am going to spend an AP because this is a dangerous one. So that drops us down to 13. So here's what it says. I'm going to roll a d6. And I need a 1 or a 2 to succeed. A 6 is a scandal. And a 4 or 5 is going to massively backfire. But not be a scandal. So I get a -1 because of my chief of staff. I get another -1 because of the AP. I get a +1 because their rating, the opponent I'm going to move is the one that has the 2 on it. This one right here. So that drops me down to -1. And my relations with Congress is not less than 4. So we get overall a -1 to our roll. So it means we're not going to get a scandal, but 4 and 5 is still bad. Oh, come on. What a jerk. Congress is angry, so this goes down by 1. I'm doing it again. We get 3 actions. Boom. Oh no. One more time. There it is. She's gone. That was a very heavy price. Yes, that was a very heavy price. But she is gone. So now we dropped all the way down to 4, and we're going to have to do legislation. So the legislation, by the way, is up here. This one. So let's pull that up. So there's no pending bills. No pending bills. If no bills are passed, skip. If you pass and sign a landmark bill, always use the how sausage is made. Roll a d6 and refer to the Congressional Maneuvering and Drama table, which is on the domestic. So d6, page 7. Alright, I got it open. Let's roll our d6. I'm assuming that's a horrible roll. Okay. We would have gotten a -1 if the RWC was 7 or greater. -1 if friends outnumber opponents, which it does. So that 5 becomes a 4. Special interest mount media campaign against your bill. Move your leftmost bill in the pending bills area right by 1 box. That doesn't do anything because I don't have any bills in the box. So now we move to 6. Remove all bills currently in the cannot be passed box. You may now voluntarily remove any of your opponent's bills currently in any box of pending bills. The number in the current box in the back is the number of bills that are now introduced. So we're looking at 1 bill. If you control, you choose. If your opponents control, they choose. If control is split, roll a d6. Even as me. Place the bill or bills you or the opponent have introduced in the 0 box. If there's split control, place the bill in the -1 box. So I'm assuming the bill is the highest public priorities. Okay. So they're going to put in a Social Security bill. It's an opponent. It's in the -1 box. Oh, +1 box. Nope, we're split. So 0 box. Okay. So that goes there. Total, then compare the media ratings of all friends and opponents. So we're at media 2, they're at 0. So with a max of 3 boxes. Then move public approval that number of boxes in your favor and against me if not. So public approval is going to go up by 2. That's why I wanted to get rid of that person. Also adjust media relations by one box higher or lower,
Get your stuff done.
but only if it was +3. We were at +2.
You want to put your gear.
So media relations don't change. There's no scandals. Examine all the friends and opponents. If there are moderates, then radicals, move it right. If there's radicals, then moderates, move it left. It's definitely moving left again. Perform one immediate free action of any type for each of your bills that were passed and signed during this segment. If it confirmed a Supreme Court justice or passed a greater, I didn't do any of those things. So it just gets on there and that's it. And then we're done. Alright, so next up is we draw another chit. And I know we had a really good one last time, so it's all downhill from here. Regional Summit. Ooh, I don't know what that one is.
You could be at 118 though. Oh, you were at 208 now. What happened?
Refer to the Regional Summit in the World Charts booklet.
That's what it says. Okay. Ready on up.
Depending on the crisis chit you drew, and follow its directions. Okay, so the chit is. So here's what it says. We're going to roll a d10 to determine the region for the summit. Alright, so let's do that first. So we rolled a 1, which is Eurozone. There's a 1 right there. Okay, so the Eurozone is the region for the summit. Determine the type of summit by the following criteria. Okay, so if the regional crisis in the area is 2 or higher, then it's a security summit. If stability is 4 or less, it's an economic trade summit. Otherwise, it's a global issues summit. Okay, so it's global issues. Then make a regional alignment check for that region. Whoa, I don't know what I just hit there. But the regional alignment check, it's a 6. Right, so we pass. So since we passed, we get a -1 to the DRM. And then the DRMs here are so we get -1 for the regional alignment. I can spend action points, 1 or 2, to make it go down by 1 or 2. For every very close ally in the region, I have 2 of them. So I'm at -3, and the max, by the way, is -3. I can't do more than a -3. +1 if there is a current war, level 4 terror group, or any level rogue state in the region. None of those are true. Then plus if there's at least one China or Russia influence counter. +2 if both of them are in the region. So there is +1. So that puts me to a -2 overall. I could spend an action point to make it -3. Now, of course, I want to look at the table real quick to see what my options are. So this is a global issue summit. And the way the table looks is there's 3 columns for each of the type of summits. So for example, if I get a 9 or worse, we're basically getting bashed for not doing enough to support the world. And all kinds of negative things happen. Trending anti-US, stuff like that. If it's a 7 or 8, China or Russia take the lead. A 5 or a 6. Nationalist agendas, basically nothing happens. It takes a 1 to a 4 for meaningful dialogues. And then a 0 or less, the US position is awesome. A trending pro-US counter would be applied, and stability goes up. I mean, that's not horrible. I'm going to go ahead and spend the +1 AP then to get a -3. We're going to max this out. I'm already down to 10 and I still got 3 more activation phases. I'm living up to my reputation here. But I don't know, everything's important. So, -3 means that the worst I can do is a 7, which is very bad, by the way. So I don't want to roll a 10. And I just hope that we get some good luck here. Okay, a 5 minus 3 is 2, which puts us in the good zone. Alright, we got a really good outcome there. Had I not spent the AP, I would have gotten the same exact outcome. So that part, I guess, is fine. So we have the meaningful dialogue. We have to roll a d10 to see what happens.
So I one-shot both of those guys.
You know what? Because there's no regional crisis, the outcome's the same. So if I were to roll a 1 to 6, regional crisis is reduced by 1. If it's already 0, then +1 stability. If I roll a 7 or better, it's +1 stability. So either way, it's +1 stability because we're at 0. So the stability goes up. And I'm going to go ahead and put it underneath this. If I would have gotten a lower number, 0 or less, which is tough to do, then I would have gained a trending pro-US and would have been able to move this up, and we would have gotten rid of that Russia influence in a heartbeat. Because I got to get this. I mean, at a 6, I could still do it, but yeah. Anyways, that's done. That wasn't a bad chit, but it has a plus on it, so we're not done. And this cascading event means that we are drawing one of these. So I'm going to shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. We're going to draw one. And what are we getting? Financial crisis. If the US SOE is 6 or higher. 6. Crisis averted, then discard the card. That's good. I'm glad to get rid of that one. Now there is a media slant, which means we go to the media thing and we get whatever's here, and it's neutral right now, so nothing happened. Alright, we got rid of that at the right time. I'm okay with that. So that's another plus, but we're done with our pluses. Now we get to do any 3 actions. Oh, I'm in the wrong section. This did not happen, folks. That would have happened here. Or here, I apologize. So, as long as our economy doesn't drop between here, here, and here, we're fine. So I'm gonna hold it, right? That's the chip we drew. We're just gonna see. I don't think it should go bad because we got good things happening between here and there, so we should be okay. Alright, focused national intelligence. So we're going to roll in this table here.
Oh, this is to revive you.
Well, we rolled a 1. -1 if we're higher than Russia and China. We are. So we're at 0. -1 if we're at -1. And they both have influence. So, but we're still at -1, so we're doing fantastic. Okay, effects on terrorism. Move a 3 to one terror group in that region to the targeting box.
Good block.
If there are any remaining terror groups, move to the gathering box. So that's like doing a really good intel. And then effects on war, choose one. If you go to war with one of your military actions in this segment of the action phase, or currently involved, add 2 strengths to your side. Or if there's a civil war, which there isn't, we're going to add 2 strength to our side. That's good. That helps counter the jerkness that he did. This was excellent. I'm very happy with that. And that's the reason why we put this here, because it affected our war. Otherwise, it would have helped with the Civil War. So, either way, if I would have put it here, that would have been good too. I would like to have one in both places, but that's not the case. So, again, that didn't hurt our economy. So, getting to, like I'm saying, like I think this is just
I'm joking.
this is going to happen exactly like it's supposed to. Now we get to do any 4 diplomatic or military actions. So we don't get to do stuff with Congress because it's diplomatic or military. We get to do stuff out here.
Well, what do we do now?
The so for example, the military could do a raid on this level 1 terror group.
But they're only 3.
It's not a bad idea.
Battle Royale.
It could lead to military footprints. If we do military, we could get a pro-U.S. counter on regions and goodwill
I have been playing
if there's a war or civil war.
and non-stop. I've done nothing else.
You need a 1, 2, 3, or 4. Even a 5 to 7 reduces the regional crisis by 1.
That's a.
But I think what I want to do is I want to get rid of a.
Well, y'all have a good day. Okay, I'm going to leave now. Actually, I'm going to leave this way.
So let me back up. For president, he can always ask for a resignation. We don't want to do that. For diplomatic, he can do a UN speech to create goodwill. A 1 to 7 gives him a goodwill counter, or a pro-U.S. counter in any regional track. Wow, that's actually pretty good. We may do that. But on the diplomatic side, we're going to do the remove Russian influence counter. And we're going to do it from the Eurozone. So it has to be a 6 if the regional crises are 0. And so regional crisis is 0, and we're at a 6. We're going to get rid of that Russian influence. Then I would like to do the same here for China. So we're going to do 2 of those actions. So on a D10, I need a 1 to 6 as a result. That's all I need.
No, that was mine. Wait,
There it is. We got a 2. So Russia's gone. And then we got him back down to 5, which is more manageable. And they said any 3 actions. So we're going to do it again, but this time we're going to try to get rid of China here. That worked. So China's gone. So they drop. And then I'm going to do the presidential one,
We could have totally killed those.
which is a diplomatic action. Anytime a diplomatic action can be taken, we're going to do a UN speech to create goodwill. May only be used once per activation segment. So I probably have a token here somewhere. You would think they would have had one. No new legislation. Must choose Intel. It's not on this counter, is it?
Bro, that's really good.
They gave us that token.
But you gotta do all your stuff for like builds. Like, what is
Maybe it's here and I'm just being blind. But I don't see it. Unless it's somewhere up here with the UN stuff. But no, I don't see it.
If you never use it, it's not gonna.
Okay, it's just once per activation. So, um, it says activation phase. Oh, only once per segment. So of the 3 actions, I can only do this one time. Okay, yeah, there's no token for something like that. So this is what's amazing. A 1 to a 7 is a success. So there's good odds here. Of course, we failed. Alright, well then nothing happened. So we did our 4, oh I'm sorry, there's 4 actions. We did 2. That's 3. I could do it again. I mean, part of me wanted to raid that terror group. We could do a summit too, which would be nice. China doesn't act until we get to there.
Do you want to just go in with max gear?
I'm gonna try to create goodwill again. Let's go. This time we do pass. So what it says is we can gain a UN counter or place a trending pro US counter on a regional alignment track anywhere in the world. So goodwill counters are not horrible. They're pretty good. But actually I think, let's improve the Eurozone to 7. We'll just store these here. I know they have a bunch there, but it would be nice to. I'm trying to think. Should I put it somewhere else instead? No, this was an easy grab. We were already halfway there, and this was a guaranteed bump. Everything else is just a half bump. So, yeah, I'm going to do it that way. Okay, so maybe I was a little obsessed with that. I should have probably done a summit instead, but it's fine. And then, yeah, this is done. So that brings us to the end. So we're going to start activation phase 2 next video. Thanks for watching. Stay awesome.